Greetings. So, I wanted to talk about a situation that's really on my mind. There's a lot of things being said about me. Half of them are probably untrue, half of them are only half true. Um, and I really just want to address it. Well, there's malicious stuff going around about me being a terrible person, being a horrible person for asserting my rights, while other people assert their rights all the time, like their freedom of speech, and then they plead the fifth. But when I assert my rights, apparently my rights are less deserving and easier to exploit what they believe to be a weaker um, pawn in their chess game. But I don't see myself as weak, and nor does the law. Um, and I wouldn't have to threaten litigation or protected activity when other people obviously are preaching the freedom of speech and their fair housing rights. Well, the hypocrisy of that is individuals are taking away my fair housing rights by asserting their fair housing freedom of speech rights. For example, being by the pool and using a machine to accommodate my back problems and building my strength in my core because it's really difficult for me to lift heavy amounts without throwing out my back with a large amount of wear and tear that I do on my body at work, from lifting heavy cages to heavy pets to in the past janitorial products and cleaning products. Yeah, of course I'm going to use other methods when I work out so much already, and I'm not going to push my body to the limit where I get injured and not be able to make income because I can't go to work and injure myself and not get paid to pay my rent. So, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit different or strange to people who aren't used to seeing people who are a little bit different. But am I unqualified to be here? No. What makes me unqualified to be here is obvious prejudice. Prejudice that I should be a certain way, and if I'm not that way, then it's black and white, right? You either are or you aren't. There's no gray zone. So someone like me can't be considered normal because I don't do what normal guys do. You mean like working out or swimming or drawing? There's a lot of males that do art, but that's more of a feminine activity, right? Well, who says I can't do art? That's just misogyny saying that I can't be an artist. And there's a lot of great artists in this world that are males. And another example is theatrical makeup. So special effects makeup was actually a male-dominated field. Females had trouble making it in the early days, and now females are making it quite well in the special effects industry, especially on YouTube, and making quite a bit of money. So people make all these claims and all these faulty cultural constructs onto people and want them to be a certain way. Well, I'm just me. I'm not super masculine to the point where everybody else is at fault and I'm not, but I'm not super feminine to the point where, all these female stereotypes of girly girly and scared of bugs and scared of all these kinds of things, those are feminist discrimination kind of terms. And then there's the opposite, the misogynist discrimination kind of terms. So of course there's going to be a gray zone between. You can be masculine and have feminine qualities. I have eccentric qualities, and that's why I'm a little different to somebody who is threatened by the fact that I'm a creative artist and I'm a creative individual, or that I'm a very educated individual who also is very good at finding information about the people I know that are trying to hurt me or have hurt me. It's called survival. Now, in the LGBT community, it is a trait that we had to develop for survival issues to be ahead of our enemies, to outsmart our enemies. Same thing occurs to people who are on the spectrum or people with disabilities. They have to learn their rights in order for individuals to take them seriously. A lot of jobs, they don't get raises, they don't get promotions because of perceptions of disabilities and stigmas. Now, our freedom is here today because of people with disabilities. I mean, Abraham Lincoln was known to have moments of mood swings where they had to keep weapons away from him, and it was documented in his journals, hinting he would be diagnosed with bipolar disorder now. Then you have Einstein and Alan Turing, who Einstein formulated the theory that formulated the atomic bomb. And you had Alan Turing, who blueprinted the computer that Steve Jobs used to blueprint the filing system for pretty much all of our technology today. So, and he also predicted where the Nazis were going to strike by formulating this machine, which is to predict where they were. We were able to turn the tide of the war and win. So, of course, people on the spectrum have formulated your rights and your freedom today. Now, people could say clearly what they want about me. That's fine. I really can care less. But when I'm getting threats to the point where you're trying to exploit it, to the point where you're trying to prove a point and make yourself look better by exploiting it, does it really make you look better? No. It just makes me right. Because paper trails and internet trails and all that stuff is all I need to prove my point. Yeah, you could say I'm crazy and you can have all these witnesses come in to prove your alibi for your character. But when somebody like me who has no criminal record, somebody like me who does quite well in society, and someone like me who hasn't hurt anybody in my life, obviously is going to be looked at a lot more favorably in the eyes of the law because clearly, I have a better track record. It's funny that somebody who thinks I'm crazy has a long history of leaving jobs and quitting jobs when they don't get their way. Or somebody who has a long history of drug addiction is scapegoating their drug problems onto me and their perception of mental illness and craziness on me when those people are partaking to majority of the time might have bipolar disorder because obsession and addiction are oftentimes connected. They just don't have diagnosis for it yet. And I'm literally not a doctor, and nor am I going to diagnose somebody, nor am I going to tell somebody their status because I know better than that. Now, people oftentimes forget the service dog laws require people to have them on leashes unless they're working and it deals with the task that they're working. So, for instance, your dog not being on a leash and is harassing other people by jumping on them, going around their legs, putting them in a situation where they can be harassed, can be considered harassment because people have public rights too. So there's another situation, in my apartment complex, there's several people who partake in activities that are clear violations of the policies. And half the time I've turned my cheek, half the time it's none of my business. But what makes it my business is when they're coming after me and accusing me of things that I clearly have no control over. For instance, your addiction issues or personal bias towards a disability. For instance, me using public spaces like the pool and them having a personal problem with me being there. Or making retard sounds at me. Or if I have back issues, or they're advertising as masseuses and advertising as personal fitness people, their best clientele are people who have back problems, right? So why is it a problem for me to ask about services or get services for those situations? It's not. But the problem is their perception of mental illness and making retard sounds at me based on that because I know about their situations. When I've met these people's bullies, I've met them, I've slept with them, and their bullies even state it's sad and pathetic that these people bully you because I spent my whole time bullying them through school and they throw tantrums about it all the time. But now they're doing the same thing to you as a form of projection. And I said, yeah, it's a sad hypocrisy. But, they say that they're not afraid. They say that they're not scared. But then they run from me. That's showing fear. If you have to run or watch over your shoulder every time I'm in an area, that is perception and fear of an individual that you've created in your mind. Now, I've created in my mind my safety issues because, to be fair, there was a stop sign posted on my space. That was a form of vandalism and defiling of a public safety sign. 2, discriminatory terms used on my door. For instance, calling me anti-Irish names and anti-disability names and reminding me of how many friends I don't have with an intent to cause emotional damage. Now, I'm not as thick-skinned as you think I am. What I have a problem is those places, those spaces, I share an apartment with my mother in terms of on the lease. So her name and her credibility is on that too. So an attack against my mother is a clear attack against me. And I love my family. I love the ones that are close to me. And I have animals that I'm protecting. So clearly, I'm going to be a little bit defensive when it comes to attacking my family members and my mom's credibility. No, I tried to be real nice to these people and I tried to avoid situations and not include certain things in the situation. But there's only so much you can do and so much cheek turning that you can do before you have to realize these things are not going to get better. They're just going to find other motives, other reasons to harass you and assert their freedom of speech and bully you for dumb shit, for stupid things like, oh, I came out of the door too noisy, or you farted in the wrong place, or just petty little things. They're going to nitpick petty little things to try to get you to seem like a terrible person. And when you react to it, oh, they're winning. They're going to be the greatest people in the world. That's not how it works. Because if I can show a trail of pettiness and document everything and not react to it, which I clearly haven't, yeah, walking away or telling him takes one to know one or all that stuff. You're right. I might be a little bit of a bitch or seem like drama to you, but who's clearly creating drama? I'm just saying the obvious. The real people creating drama are the ones who are instigating problems. You're creating dramatic situations to try to prove that that person is worse than they are. Not only is that a slander or libel lawsuit waiting to happen, if you do it on protected party situations, it could be a hate speech situation. Although it is not technically a crime, hate speech and hate motivated actions, not just one isolated event, but many continuous events, can be considered hate crimes. And I'm trying to protect people by saying, hey, can you stop? And it's been documented. Can you stop? It's up to you and your perception. But I made it clear to these people that they need to stop harassing me. Now, I'm a real nice guy if you get to know me. I've had a lot of success in my life, and yeah, my family is very successful, and my family is part of my being. But when you're being petty and finding all these little tiny itsy bitsy things to pin on somebody just to justify your means, you're just like those people you claim, the Christians, who don't love all aspects of you because you're gay, right? Or those people who judge your status but don't want to get to know you. They're nitpicking one little thing about you, and that's the reason they don't like you, right? And that's discrimination to you, and it is clearly discrimination. But when it does it to somebody else and they're, maybe their conversation issues or them trying to be using public spaces or creating art or allowing their cat, people, it's a little weird that somebody would walk a cat on a leash, yeah, but they have ferret leashes, they have rabbit leashes, they have all kinds of leashes for different pets, and some people actually think their pets are meaningful creatures. Now, one person might be a dog person opposed to a cat person, but clearly, I have a cat. I'm going to allow my cat to have outdoor experiences, who has been an indoor cat her whole life. She doesn't have a lot of experience outside, and she's afraid of the outside because she was a rescue, and I found her at the pound. And so, of course, I want my cat to be able to experience all aspects of life, including some outdoor time, so I'm going to take her out on her leash outside. That's not an issue. That's called bonding. Because my cat is very, very close to me as a friend and my companion pet. She helps with my social stimulation and my emotional stimulation for my disability. Now, I don't find that as a problem. If people find that as a problem, that's none of my concern. But it doesn't affect me at all, clearly, if I'm going to continue to do it, regardless if you have a problem with it. I'm going to find another way to do it and clearly access wherever I go. Even if I move to a different place, it's not going to stop me from using my public access. I've never been a person that actually conforms to the norm because I don't really care what people think about me. I care about the actions that they do to hurt me. Now, that's your perception, and I'm sorry that you have a flawed perception of my disability, whoever may be part of this situation and committing these crimes, and that's your prerogative, but it's just really hanging yourself by your tongue. Now, I hope you have a wonderful time. I don't wish evil or bad on people. In fact, I've wished mediation. I wish peace on these people. I don't know what your religion is. It's none of my business. And nor will I tell you that your religion is wrong, or your belief, or your political party, or whatever. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter. I don't care if you're a Hillary supporter. Religion and politics are none of my concern, nor do I talk about them unless I know that person is not going to be judgmental and open to other ideas. Have a wonderful day.